Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Muse News, the show where we talk about all things MUN. I'm your host, John Harris. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Muse, and our guest today is Kate Cadigan. She's the co-chair of Equal Voice NL, the president of MUN Politics and Law Society, and the vice president of External Affairs and Communications with the NL Youth Parliament. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Hi, John and Jake. How are you?
Doing good. So you are a busy person by the sounds of your introduction, and you've been on the team of Equal Voice NL for over 3.5 years, and about 8 months ago you became the co-chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so tell us about your work there and what Equal Voice NL does.
Yeah, so for the listeners who may not know, Equal Voice is a provincial chapter of a national not-for-profit that focuses on promoting women and gender diverse folks in all levels of politics. So that includes municipal, provincial, federal, and also band councils. We work tirelessly to break down the systemic barriers that exist that often prevent women and gender diverse folks from putting their name forward in an election. It could even be like a union election, any kind of leadership that involves politics. I've been very lucky to be a part of the organization for going on 4 years now. And as you said, I was appointed as co-chair back in April. And since then, myself and Emily Wadden, who is the other co-chair, have been working together to kind of prepare for the elections that are coming just around the corner in fall of 2025.
Amazing. So you recently appeared on CBC's On the Go to talk about gender diversity in politics and highlighted the recent municipal by-elections in Ward 3 and Ward 4, all men. So tell us about municipal politics and why is there a lack of gender diversity?
Well, I think municipal politics is unique from provincial and federal politics, as it's typically not a full-time job and it is not paid. So I think that's a huge consideration when we're looking at the factors of why people may not be putting their name forwards. At the same time, I also want to congratulate all those who did put their name forward, men included. I think it's a super brave thing to do, to put yourself out there to serve your community. But it is disappointing. I mean, when we see the past 2 by-elections in the St. John's area have only men, I think it's difficult for young women and gender diverse folks to even see themselves in those positions when there's already a lack of diversity and representation. And I think it's the same thing, right? There's barriers at all levels, and it's about addressing those. So part-time, not paid, work-life balance, there's heightened harassment targeted towards women and gender diverse folks at all levels of politics. So those are really the things that we at Equal Voice try to target and find solutions to work around those barriers and break them down.
Right on. And so what are you seeing at the provincial and federal levels when it comes to gender diversity?
It's gotten better. It's gotten significantly better over the past several decades. However, I don't think it's enough. We're sitting roughly around 30%, I think it's both provincially and federally, for women elected in either the House of Assembly or the House of Commons. And we need to have more diversity. I mean, it's proven, right, that when we have more diverse politicians and policymakers, we actually see better policy, policies that serve everyone. So I think that, as we continue and as elections come around the corner, we need to start the conversation with people in your life, women in your life, and gender diverse individuals in your life who you think might be good community leaders. That doesn't mean they have to put their name forward, but maybe they can support somebody on their campaign, and then the next time around they would want to put their name forward. I think there's many ways to be involved, and it doesn't always have to be the one, you're the one running. But I think that these are all things to keep in mind as we have municipal, provincial, and federal elections all in fall of 2025.
So you're gearing up for these elections. What kind of work is that, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so at Equal Voice, we're doing exactly what I said, starting the conversation with, community leaders that we know that we think would be well suited for any level of politics, whatever level they might be interested in. We also host campaign colleges. So those are an excellent opportunity for women and gender diverse folks to get some foundational understanding of what it takes to run a campaign. So I've actually taken part in 2 as a participant, and honestly, I've learned so much, like both times, from the finances to door knocking to creating networks, all these really important things that we're not really taught how to do, but are certainly important when you're running a campaign. And also, we, Equal Voice Newfoundland and Labrador, we're also gearing up for the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement, which is happening April 3rd of 2025. So we have some really exciting things in the works there that we hope will inspire young women in particular and gender diverse folks to start thinking about what their future in politics might be if they are really passionate about community change and, making the world we live in a better place.
And so you recently attended a municipalities NL conference in Gander and helped run a simulated council meeting for youth alongside your work with NL Youth Parliament. Can you tell us about how that went?
Yeah, the MNL conference was an excellent opportunity. Myself and 3 other board members from the Newfoundland and Labrador Youth Parliament headed to Gander for the weekend. And we actually, the 4 of us took part in the entire conference, and then we also helped host the youth council debate that was held in the Gander Town Council chambers. I think we had about 8 youth from across the province come join us for a very lively, passionate debate where we talked about health and wellness, and accessibility, community engagement, and municipal infrastructure. I think often, and especially in our curriculum here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we talk about provincial politics and federal politics, and municipal politics is often missed. So this was a really good hands-on learning opportunity to see the work that municipal leaders do. It's on the ground, boots on the ground. You're working directly with your constituents, and a lot of the stuff, it's what affects us day to day, right? Like our roads, our water. Those are the things people often are complaining about, and that's your municipal government who's responsible for that. So I think, I certainly learned a lot, and I know the other delegates who came to join also learned a lot. It was also a unique opportunity as we had mentors. So we were paired with a town councillor they were from all over the province, who helped us prepare our notes and our speaking notes for the debate, which was a really cool opportunity because they have the lived experience of, dealing with these issues in their communities and could give us some really great insight into the creative ways that they've been kind of working to make their communities better.
So youth engagement, along with engagement of women and gender diverse folks, is obviously something that's really important to you. What is the state of youth engagement in the province?
I think it's interesting because on social media, I see a boom of youth engagement. I think now more than ever, I've seen people posting about maybe more specifically American politics, but, posting about issues that they're passionate about. I don't think that's necessarily reflected in voter turnout, participating in events such as the Youth Council debate that we had in Gander, even our provincial mock parliament held at the House of Assembly. So I think if I were kind of to leave a message with the listeners, that is, if you're passionate about making change in your community, in your province, in your country, I think there are ways to get involved, and maybe sometimes those opportunities are hard to find, but they're there. And I would really encourage folks to channel that energy that they have towards the issues that they're passionate about and try to find ways to make meaningful change.
Yeah, I find the media environment of young people is a lot of American content. Yeah, it's a lot of American content, and I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think social media can be a great tool for people to talk about what they're feeling, certainly with politics.
However, I'm not sure if you've heard of the term slacktivism. It was something we talked about on the go. And I think that might be something that we're running into. I would never discourage folks from using social media as a way to bring awareness to certain issues. But again, I really encourage, young people and really everyone to put some oomph behind those social media posts and, join an organization like Equal Voice if you're passionate about women's leadership, women and gender diverse folks in politics. If you're passionate about youth in politics, Newfoundland and Labrador Youth Parliament's a great example. There's so many organizations within MUN and even in our community and across the province that are encouraging folks to get involved. So I would really encourage people to seek those out.
So how do we get youth engaged in politics? I know you do a lot of work with NL Youth Parliament, and you give people the experience to see what a debate is like in the House of Assembly and chambers, and recently the municipal version of that. But what else can we do to bridge that gap between people posting on social media or watching an election debate to joining an organization like yours, or going out on the street and talking to their friends, being engaged in politics? How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, I think that's a tricky one. As I mentioned before, I think our curriculum, I went to high school here in Newfoundland, and I think the curriculum sucked. I didn't learn what I was able to do, like my civic responsibilities. I didn't really learn that in high school. And I think that we would all benefit from a bit more foundational understanding of what we can do to get involved, whether that be with a party or just support a candidate. Municipal politics is nonpartisan, right? So if you're kind of worried about that, towing the party line or joining a party, if you're not ready, municipal politics is a great place to start. I also encourage organizations, I'm Equal Voice, Youth Parliament, but any other organization to really get out there and put your name out there, because there are folks who are interested in what we are doing. It's just about getting the word out. And I think, Newfoundland and Labrador Youth Parliament has been such a great tool for so many young people to learn kind of the proceedings of the House of Assembly, all that jazz, which is a bit more formal. But we also do panels. We learn about the history of the Newfoundland and Labrador government. So I think that's also a great tool for folks to learn more. But I think it really all goes back to education and knowing what's available and knowing what our civic responsibilities and rights are, such as voting.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's you hear a lot of people giving their input and talking about politics, but are one step away from doing something about it.
Yeah.
So I definitely commend you for that type of work. Speaking of American politics, in your other role as president of MUN Politics and Law Society, a lot of roles, by the way. How do you
I wear many hats.
how do you keep up with the major in poli-sci?
I have a really good planner, and if without it, I'm lost.
Well, that's awesome. So you put off an amazing U.S. election watch party at the Breezeway. Everybody knows how that election went. You also somehow found the time to speak at the Ballots and Brews watch party put off by Morrison Scholarships. What are your thoughts on the U.S. election and what that means for women in politics?
Yeah, that's certainly a big question, and I've thought a lot about it over the past several weeks, and what this outcome really means for us here in Canada. And I think that we cannot sit in our disappointment for too long. I think that it's completely fair that if you were rooting for a certain person and they did not win, to be disappointed. And I'm speaking vaguely, but I think we're talking about Kamala Harris, the first woman of color to run in a presidential election. And although it's okay to be disappointed, again, I would encourage folks to learn from this, so that if this is something you're passionate about, let's change that here. Let's keep that, from happening in our own backyards and in our own province and country. I think, sure, we can say we're lucky that we have 30% of elected politicians are women. But let's keep working to get that number higher. We don't want to see losses. We want to see gains. So I think, there's certainly like disappointment and a lot to learn from that election. But I think it can also be a good tool to see how we can better ourselves here in Canada and what we can do to prevent this from happening here.
Alongside the Election Watch Party, you did speak at the event at the Morrison Scholarship with Tim Powers and Alex Bill. What was the theme of that night, and what was your message?
That message, so it was kind of like today where I kind of combine all the things I'm passionate about, so youth in politics, women and gender diverse folks in politics, and kind of make a big pie and talk about why that's important to me, but also why that's should be important to all of us. So, I mean, it was a great event. I had to rush off to the MUN Pals election watch party right after.
That was packed.
We had
Brisbane was popping.
I think we had over 100 people attend when it was all said and done, probably closer to 150. It was a great turnout. But the Morrison Scholarship event, I think it was great. We had our political science professor, Dr. Luke Ashworth. He spoke there. Alex Bill, Charlie Byrne, myself. There was a great lineup of speakers, and all talking about different areas of that election and what it means kind of for us. So in my case, I spoke more specifically about women, gender diverse individuals and youth, but all the other folks brought their own expertise. So it was a really good kind of rounded conversation on the broader implications of this election. Dr. Ashworth talked about like the history, right? And what is history repeating itself? What have we seen before? Are we making history? That kind of thing. It was great vibes though. Ballots and brews. How could you go wrong? Two things I love. It was awesome.
Amazing. And what's next for MUN Political and Law Society?
Yeah, we have a lot coming down the line. So some of it I can't speak of yet because it's still in the works and I don't want to say anything too early. But we are always working to come up with fun, creative events that are inclusive to all students on campus. So you don't have to be a poli-sci or a law and public policy major to come to any of our events or even come by our society room. But we're always trying to think of events that are fun, but also have kind of an undertone of politics. Even like this Saturday, we have a bowling party. Bowling, not really political, but I have no doubt that there will be some political chats happening as we wait for our turns. And we also have a Let's Get Political event, which is coming in the winter semester.
That sounds very political.
It's very fun, yeah. So that is an event for first-year students where they can actually come and declare their major, and it's a big celebration. We're looking to host some panels, maybe some networking things. We're trying to get creative with what we do because although we're a society and we like to have fun, we also recognize that we can be a great tool for students to learn more about politics.
Amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything upcoming with NLYPD? Is it NL? That's like NYPD. NL Youth Parliament or with Equal Voice NL?
Yeah, so I would keep your eyes out for NLYP. We're in the midst of planning our annual mock parliament held at the House of Assembly. If you are interested in politics at any level, I think this is an excellent opportunity for you. Simple application process. We accept 40 students from across the province to come stay with us for a week long. It's like summer camp for political nerds. It's the best thing in the world. So I wouldn't, that's coming around the corner. That usually happens in the spring. And then also in terms of equal voice, I would keep your eye out. We have some pretty huge things happening for the 100th anniversary. Again, I can't say too much quite yet, but if you are a woman looking to get involved, Equal Voice is an excellent platform and organization to connect with. And come join our events. You'll learn so much. You'll make friends. You'll find mentors, and hopefully you'll be empowered to someday maybe put your name forward.
Amazing. And when can we expect you on the ballot?
Oh, John, I don't know about that. Give me like 20 more years.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for coming on, and it was great chatting with you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cheers.